And we're back again to get on the news cycle as we always do at this time of the morning during the weekdays, every single weekday, Mondays through Fridays, 7:30 a.m. right here on Smooth 98.1. We dive into the big stories in the newspapers on Freshly Pressed. Welcome into another installment of the show. It's going to be an interesting one, as it always is. We're looking forward to taking a look at the stories in the papers from the Punch, the Guardian, the Vanguard, Premium Times, Daily Trust. We've got it all right here, and you get to play a big part in the proceedings. We always look forward to your interaction. So all you need to do is to kick back, relax, and get yourself into the right mood and the right groove as well as you send your messages in on WhatsApp and on YouTube. You can join us on the live stream at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can leave your comments on WhatsApp as well. 0911 Please, 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 for the sake of everything that is good and holy, try to make the messages concise and help me with the tenses, the punctuation as well, so that I can just run through the message smoothly and seamlessly. Thank you very, very much. My name is Ayokunmi Kekiria. It was great to be here with you once again. And joining me to take a look at the stories, I have two of the finest gentlemen you'll ever meet in the studio with me at this time to share their thoughts, their perspectives, and analysis of the stories. Mr. C and Chibuzor in the building. Chibuzor, good morning to you. Great to have you once again.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C. And good morning, listeners, wherever you are, or wherever you find yourself this morning.
Thank you so
I, ho-
much.
I hope everybody's safe.
Well, I mean, we are safe as we can be, and really and truly, I hope you are safe out there at this point in time. Mr. C, morning to you.
Morning, Aya. Good morning, Chibuzor. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, virtual listeners. Good morning, boys, city, village. Let's roll.
Let's roll, and we shall begin this morning. High octane. We're talking about Malam Nasser El Rufai. Yes, he's still in the news. Wondering what's going on with him. Well, the Vanguard is where we'll take the story from. It says the former Kaduna State governor has actually dismissed allegations by the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, the ICPC, regarding the seizure of phone tapping equipment, describing the claims as false and politically motivated. Now, in a statement issued yesterday, that was 2nd of March, and signed by Mohammed Bello El Rufai, the family accused the anti corruption agency of conducting a smear campaign and misrepresenting the outcome of a search carried out at the former governor's property. Mr. C, I mean, I don't know too much about the law and how these things happen, but this information about a certain equipment being found in Mr. Malam El Rufai's home, should that have been put in the public domain? I mean, it sort of feels like there's a should I say, a conspiracy theory against him at this point in time. You're investigating something. Why is all that information being put out there? What's going on?
Thank you, Aya. So, again, this is the next installment or the latest episode of incompetence by law enforcement agencies in Nigeria.
I wonder what season this is.
Season Infinity.
There we are.
So, here we are, right? You arrested a former governor. You've had him in detention for more than 2 weeks. You say that you obtained an order from a magistrate court in Buari, and your eternal frustration is the fact that he has refused to give you a statement. And his position has remained constant that if you truly have a case against me, arraign me in court. I will only respond to accusations that have been filed in court. Now, the ICPC say they conducted a raid. They found equipment that could be used for wiretapping and intruding into personal communication. And they say that search was done and the equipment was recovered in the presence of his wife and his son. Now, the family has responded and said nothing of the sort happened. That what was taken away were old laptops, old phones, old tablets. Now, it truly is disappointing, at least for well-meaning Nigerians, that 2 weeks after you've arrested him, you're unable to put him in court. Why do they eternally do this? You first arrest, then you start the investigation. Should every arrest not be predicated on an investigation? I'm saying this because there are a lot of people who don't know the proper order of things. Take the case of Invictus. Take the case of Hush Puppy.
Mm.
They were investigated. They did not even know an investigation was happening.
And that happened for a long period of time.
Yes. And then when the investigations were done, they were arrested. And when they were presented with the charges, ladies and gentlemen, they both pled guilty. They knew they were not beating the charges. Now, we have here an agency that is determined to conduct a media trial. To what end? And ladies and gentlemen, this is the same agency that initially filed charges against Mr. Chief Mike Ozekhome. Those charges were withdrawn, and a fresh set of charges, which were better, were then filed by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. Now, we need to understand the legal masterstroke Malam Nasser El-Rufai is doing. He has a right under the Constitution not to implicate himself.
Mm.
So here's a man who is yet to see a microphone that he did not like, but he's now embracing the quiet life. And whilst he's not saying I didn't do it, he's also not saying I did it. All he's saying is, stop stressing me. Let's settle the matter in court. I will respond in court.
Shouldn't be that difficult.
So what the ICPC wants to do is he should go and buy the rope that will be used to hang him. No.
Who does that?
Nigerian law enforcement authorities.
Ah.
So at the end of the day, you'll be surprised this matter gets to court, and you'll be shocked at the conduct of the trial. You'll truly be shocked.
Will we be shocked though?
No, you'll be shocked. You will be shocked if you're looking at it from the perspective of justice. But if it is from the perspective of lousiness, incompetence, tardiness, it won't shock you, because this should just be the latest episode. But here we are. And this is something they need to learn. There are lawyers in these commissions. I believe the head of the ICPC is a senior advocate or a retired judge. You don't need media trials in 2026.
Chibuzor, let me lob a Molotov into the arena right now. Looking at how this is all playing out, it seems like the trial is going on more in the media than in the law court, where it should actually be happening. Now, could this also be as a result of the fact that Mr. El-Rufai claims that he has a lot of evidence, this one and that one, and maybe, just maybe, they don't want to get him into that arena, and then some secrets are spilled and all that. I don't know. I'm just saying, just wondering here. Could that be?
It could be, as like Mr. C said, Malam El-Rufai has. You can call him all you want. You might see that he obviously, like Mr. C alluded to, he likes the sound of his voice. He likes to give out his opinion and his 3 cents or 5 cents about everything that happens. But one thing you probably cannot say about him is that he's stupid. And when he weaved the opening entry for this episode, and the ICPC and everybody else walked into it, there were some suggestions that he had something planned out. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Nigerians we watch too many soap operas and we've gotten entertained too many times, so we expect that there's always going to be the extraordinary in the ordinary. But time will tell. Time will tell. Unfortunately, like Mr. C said, a lot of and it's not unique to Nigeria, but I think we spend too much time politicizing some of these investigations, politicizing some of these processes, that the average Nigerian does not believe in the workings of a system, and that is where my frustration comes from. The average Nigerian, after seeing things like this, believes and accepts that we don't have a system. A system doesn't work. Just make enough to be able to play around whatever system or approach you have. Your system isn't workable. Your system isn't designed to work. So if you have enough money, you have enough influence, you can bypass the system. And that puts to shame a bit what the objectives of is the supposed objectives of institutions like the ICPC and EFCC, especially when it comes around political players and people of wealth in society. So, but hey, let's keep watching, at least we didn't know everything that we're going through in Nigerians, and Nigerians are going through a lot. We will not say entertainment is in short supply.
Mm. Talking about Nigerians going through a lot, Nigerians actually are going through a lot. Well, at least in Lagos anyway. And I'm talking about what's been happening at the airport. Now, let's step into the Guardian here. And the story reads, for the second day this week, vehicular movement was hugely restricted at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos following the implementation of, and I'm quoting here, Operation Go Cashless policy by the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria at the tollgate area of the airport. Now, this disruption, which began on Sunday, was worse on Monday as motorists spent at least 90 minutes from the Bisam area of the airport to the toll gates. That's a stretch of less than 2 kilometers. So, and now this further compounded the woes for motorists, international and local travelers, as some of them were seen alighting from their vehicles and opted for motorcycles in order not to miss their flights. Now, I won't say that this is a bad initiative, but why is it that we have this track record of when we want to implement something new, something different, it almost always has teething problems like this? This sort of thing should not be happening, but hey, here we are. Chibuzor.
At times at times I'm a bit speechless about when public officials try to implement things at a sweep, and I know that this is going to get some pushback about how when do you do it, but and not every project or not every process when you implement new processes or systems are going to be painless. There's some that would come with requisite pain, but at least let it be thought through. At times, it almost feels like in Nigeria that when public officials decide to do something, either it be a road construction, implementation of some new policy, that the last thing on their mind is actually what is the impact on the users? How does it impact the users? How does it impact the revenue expect? Because I think also one of the things is that because of public officials are really not held accountable for particular delivery. So, if for instance I had a shop and my KPI, I was the owner of the at the owner of the shop, my KPI, what I will be measured by is how much profit that shop makes, or how I keep to regulations. Because obviously, if I get hit by some regulatory impact, I could lose all the earnings in that
Yeah,
shop.
yeah,
I
yeah.
would be a bit careful about what I do in terms of, because I know that, for instance, I've gotten financing to start up the business. My family depends on the outcomes of that. Whatever I do will be planned around the fact that I need to maintain and ensure that I make some profit and I'm able to keep that business running. But with the public officials, they don't see service delivery as that. Now, I'm not saying that all the blame is on the public officials. What they're trying to do is laudable in quote. Obviously, they're trying to do what should have happened over the years.
Mm,
But this is also a cultural thing. It's also a process and a system thing. Um, I would believe there are better ways to try and embed those systems, because if you mix in infrastructural deficit, process gaps, and you mix in Nigerian behavior, you would get the kind of output you are getting today. So, what could they have done differently? I think probably they could have tried to slowly implement this with options and get it moving along as quickly as, over time, as quickly as possible. Give various places where people give think through it, because what is happening now is that people are trying to use their cards to make payments, and there's a pile up at those points. How differently could you have done it to fasten that process?
right.
Most of us have gone through a lot of the, when the one of if you where we used to have the when the toll gate was operational at Lekki,
Mm,
one of the major concerns was traffic. And why was there traffic? Because at every point when you go towards that place, people were piling up to actually either make
trying to pay, collect the
collect the cards
change
and
and all
move
that.
on. And it's something that needs to be done over time, but how can we think of ways to make it more efficient? Can you ask people to prepay? Can we do tap and pay? Are there electronic payments that can be done quickly, ease it up? I think maybe this also, this kind of challenges also should, make us actually either go back and see where else is it being done, or how can we bring out, even if it's some solution that is home based, to make it flow faster. But hey, for now, they decide they're going to do it. Maybe at some point they might decide to slow it down and see how can we get it better. But for those who have been caught up in the traffic and the pain, my apologies. It, it comes with Nigeria, unfortunately.
Mr. C, one of the arguments, or should I say the grouses that motorists had with this policy is that the study and enforcement did not take into consideration, on one hand, the heavy traffic. Now, they also said there was inadequate public sensitization and insufficient preparation as well. Now, first thing that came to my mind is the NOA. Now, I don't know if this is part of the NOA's brief, but there's this culture of going to do something. Oh, let's start it on next Monday, and then boom, you just jump into it. Not enough sensitization, not enough noise made about it. Why?
Okay, so it's easy to blame the authorities for probably not giving sufficient notice before they implemented this action, right? And I can't speak to that because I do not know if there was any notice period. But let's not forget, Nigerians can be truly unfortunate too. Think of all the previous notices for BVN, for NIN. Deadlines will come and go. And it's in the last week, Nigerians will start taking whatever notice was given seriously. So I'm not holding brief for the authorities, but we have some very badly behaved Nigerians amongst us.
We see them every day.
Yes. And there's a saying on the street, it's not every mad person that is without clothes. Some are fully clothed.
I think we have more fully clothed ones now.
So long story short, everybody has their part to play in all of this. Because think about it, almost everyone has a debit card. Why is it causing confusion? Almost everyone can do a bank transfer. Why is it causing confusion? Some people know the proper thing to do. They decide to do what they like. So remember when the toll plazas were in use, the toll plaza for Admiralty.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lane that only takes cards. Some rocket scientists will get onto that lane, get to the front where they should be swiping a contactless card. These comedians and jokers are bringing out cash.
I think that's an insult to actual rocket scientists, Mr. C, for being honest.
Well, how else will I describe them?
Oh, goodness.
So Nigerians move mad, but the authorities too can do better. Should there have been an earlier period to study how it goes? And for the love of heaven, why start a new policy on a Monday?
I think, like, I don't know, it's like, we could go around in circles trying to understand how they prepared for this, because if I was going to do that, I'll probably have a good idea of how many people are going through the gates, how quickly do we make to make payments, how can I give multiple options for them to be able to make payments and segment that place, how do we educate, because, and to be truthful, this is not even anybody's business. FAN is a revenue generating, profit centered authority. They are being paid to do their business, as far as I'm concerned. They're just a public service business. So they have the responsibility to educate. Like I said, Nigerians have bad behavior. Mr. C has alluded to that. So when you mix a limitation in systems thinking with Nigerians' bad behavior, you get things like this, that come out. I think over time, and I do hope that you have people who are actually paying attention, actually studying and thinking of how do we ease out this process, because reversing it and say we're going back to that, it probably might not be the way to go. And I think let's just move forward. I don't want to. I think at times we go wholesale, or we're going to do cashless completely. A mix could have been good, but also maybe, and I'm going to go back to February 2023. That the season that most Nigerians don't like to think about. One of the pluses of that painful process was that a lot of Nigerians were introduced to cashless payments, electronic payments. And I don't think enough was done after that painful process, because it became heavily politicized. I think at that point, after the hues and cries and the noise went down, the government, or well, there was also a handover of government that, but when even the new government came in, that they should have been a follow through to take advantage of that to push not just the government agencies and the CBN who are trying to change currencies, but also get sectoral play into process to make it more of a habit in Nigeria.
Okay.
So if we had found a national habit, maybe we would not be talking about fan and the airport gates at this point.
Hmm. Let me take a message here from this is Sonny from Surrey who says whomever came up with that toll gate cashless implementation should be flogged. Ah, flogged. Okay. I was there yesterday and it was total chaos. A big shame. It almost seemed as if the personnel collecting the payments via POS are deliberately making it frustrating as a form of protest. I honestly wouldn't doubt that, to be honest. I understand that the end goal is to modernize the process, but I was surprised to see that almost everyone there didn't know about this implementation until they arrived at the toll gate. Don't we have data on license plates that have passed the toll gate in the last 6 months? We can easily retrieve data from the FRSC using plate numbers to get contact information of the car owners and inform them ahead of time. If everyone had their e-tags ahead of the 1st of March, then that chaos would have been avoided. Excellence seems too much to ask for in this country. I weep for Nigeria.
Good point. I think we don't understand the concept. A lot of us of excellence, even and some countries have picked up on it as a national cause to actually push excellence. Nigeria is maybe we manage them.
Mm, let's just find our way through.
Anyhowness is our
At all, at all.
at all. We just keep moving.
Mm.
That's the way we do it here.
As Mr. C said, bad behavior. Well, let's explore this story and see if there's some bad behavior in there somewhere. Mr. C will step into the punch, and Chibuzor's laughing already. Members of the Southwest leadership of the Islamic movement in Nigeria staged a peaceful protest in Lagos State, denouncing the killing of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in strikes by the U.S. and Israel. And this development comes as the wife of Iran's supreme leader reportedly died from injuries sustained during recent US and Israeli strikes at her residence in Tehran. Iran is all the way out there in the Middle East, Mr. C. What's going on there is going on there. But we are protesting here. Now, a protest is everyone's rights. It's protected by the Constitution. You can protest. But you look at the context and the spirits behind said protest, bearing in mind that we have a lot of our own issues, similar issues going on here in Nigeria. But you know what? I'll let you jump right into this one. Floor is yours, Mr. C.
Okay, thank you, Iron. So you're asking me what is going on. Ayo, you and I are seated beside each other, and you're asking me the way to heaven. Okay, no problem.
Well, I mean,
It's okay.
You know
It's
what
okay.
they say? Person with the ask question, no, they miss road, as they say on the streets.
Fantastic. So on Monday, we were treated to news that in Lagos, members of the IMN who belong to the Shi'ite sect of Islam went on a peaceful protest, protesting the attacks on Saturday that took out the former supreme leader of Iran and the other senior Iranian officials. Fantastic. And like Aya rightly said, under the Constitution, they have the right to gather peacefully and the right to peacefully and lawfully express their opinions. Now, and it's not just Lagos they protested. I'm aware they did protest in the north. I saw clips of them protesting. Now, where I'm going is this. The world is now truly a global village because a missile strike in Iran now has consequences in Nigeria, where we have Nigerians who proceed on peaceful demonstrations protesting the actions of America and by extension Israel, saying that they're violating international law, especially as it relates to sovereignty of nations. Fantastic. Now, this same group of people, I'm not aware they've had a peaceful protest against the multiple mass abductions, attacks by non-state terrorist groups, and even the extrajudicial actions of law enforcement agencies. I'm also not aware that these group of people have protested against the harsh living conditions we're all experiencing in Nigeria. And I can safely say that for them to have gathered on Monday at that time, none of them has a serious job. Because if you had a serious job, you will not be out there roaming around on the streets of Lagos, protesting actions that really and truly don't concern you.
Maybe they had an off day.
Can I chip in? So I would basically disagree with Mr. C. So yes, we've all said that they have the right to protest, right? And like you said, the IMN basically fall under the all apologies to anybody who's Muslim who might. They are they are Shiite or Shia, is it Shia Islam
Shiites.
Muslims or the Shiites as they call them, whatever, yeah. So and they are in reality their spiritual leader is the Ayatollah Khomeini, if I'm not wrong. So they are basically coming out on that premise to protest, which is their right. So for them, it's not so much about the distance between Nigeria and Iran. It's much about, basically coming to speak about their own religious beliefs and how that their own religious leader has been removed. And either we like it or not, I'm one of those people that find it very interesting when I go by some churches, for instance, in Lagos or Nigeria, that have Israeli flags flying. And I like, some of them you will struggle to see the Nigerian flag there, but everybody and their belief, and that's what I've learned. If they choose to put aside their daily bread for one morning or one day, it's their goodwill. As long as they don't cause or foment any trouble, put anybody's life at risk, then it's their right to believe. Because truly, and we've seen Nigerian Christians protest about what they see as Christian killings. We've seen other Muslim sects protest about whatever. There's a particular group that says that they won't accept any electoral results from the current head of INEC because of previous statements and he made, and he's a Christian or something. So the truth about religion is that if you ask me about how to write a paper on how people act in terms of their religious beliefs, that would probably take an entire generation. And even when we're seeing the American play and with partnership with Israel in Iran, if you ask a lot of the American senators and whatever, they will give you some religious reason why they're involved. So it's just what the world is.
Okay, so I've heard what Chibuzor has said, and my only question still remains, and it's for everyone to ponder on. They're concerned about non-Nigerians who have died. Their fellow Nigerians who have been dying and continue to die. It's crickets from them. I wonder why.
So, like I said, religion is very interesting. There's a religious sect, for instance, that does not believe in the existence of a government. There are people who their religious belief allows them to accept death from whatever reason. It's just the way of God or the way of life. So there are people who their religious beliefs basically says that they have to be passive. I would not. There are a lot of things when it comes to religious belief or individual beliefs that I would disagree with. So does it make it wrong? Not really. But hey, like Mr. C said, I think and I would just to end my keeping on this is that I think Nigerians generally need to be a lot more focused on what things happen in Nigeria. So that's why I made the comment about the Israeli flags that fly out. I think Nigerians spend a lot of energy and time being focused on things that are outside the country than actually speaking truth to what is happening and trying to make changes about what are happening. And maybe it's just a safety crutch, or maybe just some dissonance. So like I say, let me just keep my mental health because I'm going through a lot. So, but let's see where it goes.
A lot of people are going through a lot, and a lot is going through lots of people as well. It's a popular saying these days. Okay, let me go to YouTube and take the comments before coming back to WhatsApp. Jim Phil says, "Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you." AB, good morning. AB says, "This is neither novel nor rocket science. Number one, increase the toll gates. Number two, designate some cash only. Make a windscreen-mounted prepaid sensor that is automatically read, deducting payments." AB, you're going rocket science level, though. This is Nigeria.
No, but we had this in toll gates now. You already have, so it's not new. It's been there.
But why didn't they implement?
So that's why we're discussing. If not, it won't be in the news. We wouldn't be discussing if they did what they need to have done.
All right, Jim Phil says a lot of people missed their flights and got to work late. I work at the airport, so I know this. Fan, no try at all.
No, but it's truth is that, see, and like I said, it's down to revenue. If somebody in fan was called into an office the next day and said that, see, you are supposed to make 2 million naira revenue wise. We are looking at revenue reports today. It's 200,000. It's tied to your KPI. It's going to affect your bonus. It's going to affect your survey. Somebody will sit up. But guess what? These guys know either every info, they shut down the airport, they will get paid. They're not running a business.
Mm. As the popular Yoruba proverb says, Oga sells, Oga doesn't sell. The money of the staff is going to be complete at the end of the day. That's clearly what Chibuzor just said right now. All right, let me take the messages on WhatsApp and let's see. Tony Marine Beats, good morning. He says, it's unfortunate the dimension this matter with El Rufai is taking. Too dirty a practice for an organized people and nation. In another sense, I'm not perturbed because the victim happens to be one of those who sharpened this dangerous cutlass that has been used against him today. Now, them. It'll definitely go around. Experience has shown that those using it against him will equally face it tomorrow. What goes around comes around. Whatever they're sowing, they will wear. Just thought of Justin Timberlake. What goes around, goes around, goes around. Anyway, let me leave that. Let me go to another message here. Tony in the Lagos metropolis. He says, good morning, gentlemen. Morning to you. The major issue in Nigeria comes from words that have become normalized in our everyday living. Last, we could do all right. Anyhow, we could do on. These are not normal situations, but we have normalized them, embraced them, and now cannot function in normal situations. This is the problem. Iron says Iranians are happy about the killing of the supreme leader, while people who have nothing to gain or lose from the event are crying foul. That's a phenomenal level of foolishness and joblessness, in my opinion. They have other issues to protest about which affect them directly, but they are too they are too foolish to even think about those. Deep sigh. Well, Ajay Oloniwa, good morning. He says, good morning to the gentleman in the studio. The protest by members of IMN against the killing of the leader of the supreme leader of Iran doesn't make any sense when their own relatives are killed and kidnapped every day for more than 15 years. And they kept mum. Okay, and this is Lekon in Lagos. Who says when you build your government on lies, eye service, propaganda, hypocrisy, you can prosper. It's like putting an Aguero in a vault of a central bank. It will loot to the ground. They can never be accountable to you, and you can ask, can
You can ask.
okay, can ask, can a king of corruption fight corruption? Look at all. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about this morning. Look, I'm struggling to see the connection here, but thank you for the message anyway. We need to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for all the messages, all the thoughts and contributions. Always a pleasure reading from you. Thank you, Mr. C. Thank you, Chibuzor, for adding some light to the morning. Definitely much needed, Mr. C.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, Chibuzor. Thank you, wonderful, wonderful listeners. Let's go out and make it a productive day.
We'll definitely try our best, Jibs.
It's been my pleasure today, Mr. C, Ayo, our listeners everywhere, and everybody who's just, spent some, even if you spent a second with us this morning, be good.
Yes, definitely be good. It's a Tuesday, so there's a lot to do, a lot to achieve, and a lot to make out of the day. Thank you so much for being a part of Freshly Pressed. Once again, my name is Ayokunmi Kekiriak. When 8:15, we take a walk into the grapevine. I'm already psyched for that one because you already know it's entertainment, all the gist, and everything in between.
The headlines, the stories, the news. In-depth analysis on national current affairs.